everyone, welcome back to the Glassman's world. We are going to remake the MYAIR FLYAIR balloon. I don't have the card anymore. I have it up on the screenshot there for the video, but I believe it's in all of my supplies that are out in the car still. I don't think I have it in this collection of balloon cards here. Oh, that's a beautiful shot of that balloon there. Yeah, we don't have the MYAIR FLYAIR balloon here, or at least the card, but it basically looks like this here, guys. It's a blue and purple balloon with the black stripes going down it, and these came out really nice. The only problem is, on one of them, I think this was one when I was actually live, and for some reason, on only one side, as you can see, the blue is pretty much only on the one side and it's not on this side over here. So I somehow grabbed the wrong colored glass as I was working on the other half or something, and I picked up the wrong one, laid down the wrong color. I laid down purple on top of purple instead of adding the blue on the purple or whatever, however I was making it. So this one is going to be mine to keep. A little souvenir for myself. So we'll just put this somewhere over here in the balloon collection of things. And we're going to make another one. So I just need to make sure I got the right supplies here. Got some glass. I got the colors. We got the, I do believe this is the black that I've been using, not cobalt. Yeah, that's the black there. So we'll pull that into a stringer, and we only really need these colors. These colors right here. So you got the purple, you got the blue, and you got the black in the center there. And I've got a long stringer of the blue there on the bottom. It's a periwinkle. And the lighting in here isn't the greatest. Maybe I should get an overhead light for the behind me. Maybe that would be better. Then you could actually see the colors better. And we'll just set these aside here. So we won't need any of these. And I believe these are the darker blue, right? Yep, that's the darker peacock. And then this is the agua azul, I believe. Or maybe it's vice versa. So we're just getting started here. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. You're welcome to join in on the chat here. And thank you for joining along with me earlier as I drove around to scout out different locations, potential locations for our Sunday market, which if we move it out of Nob Hill East, it'll no longer be the Sunday Nob Hill East market. All right, I'm going to enjoy a nice little Reese's here real quick. It's Halloween, or just past Halloween, just past the Dia de los Muertos. Lots of celebrations going around. A lot of individuals putting their altars up now and still eating Halloween candy. So, it was a good drive. I don't know if you guys checked it out or not yet, but it was pretty cool. Just basically drove down Central Boulevard, also known as Route 66. So we took a cruise down Route 66 from the war zone, which I didn't even mention that. I just said we were starting from Louisiana Boulevard, but basically from the war zone, or the International District. And all the way into downtown Albuquerque. basically to like 8th Street in Central. So we went all the way down the strip there, looked at different spots, parked and checked out a couple different potential locations. I guess I should have got out and actually walked around on a couple of those spots. I didn't even think about that till now. And finally got out at the end spot. All right. So I got my glasses on here. They're all nice and clean. They look good. I can actually see what I'm doing here. I don't know if this is hooked up. I do have a light, a potential light, but I don't think it's plugged in. I won't worry about that right now. The lighting I have here is good enough for myself. All right. So we'll start with this here. I'm just going to clean it off with the Norwex Opti cloth, the same cloth that I use to clean my didymium glasses here that I wear to remove all the sodium flare, so that way I can see through the flame and I can actually see what I'm doing. Once I put the glass in the flame, it usually goes to that bright orange, and then you can't really see what's going on through the flame. But when you have the glasses on, then you can actually see through and you can see what's going on in the flame. So in order to make the hot air balloon, we start out with the 16 millimeter rod here. And actually, first things first, I need to get all the colors set and ready. All right, so we'll just put that here on the side. We'll make sure these don't get touched by the heat and accidentally crack or anything. All right, so we'll pull some stringers here. So this is the black or the onyx. I believe it's the onyx, or I'm pretty sure it's onyx. All right, then I'll just attach it to this punchy here. And we'll just heat up a nice little chunk of this, and that way we can pull it all, hopefully in one nice pull, and all about that same thickness. And I want to try to keep this one a little bit thicker than usual. So we're going to do a nice slow pull on it. You got to make sure that the whole thing is at that same heat, the same glow. So that way we don't have any spots that stay thick and some spots that thin out. So we just heat it all up here, go back and forth. All right, and let's see how that works there. Give it a nice pull. I can see the center part here is gonna stay thick, so we just heat that up as we pull. And that's pretty good. I say that's like a 3 to 4 millimeter thickness there. That's about what I want. The little tip here is a little bit thicker than the rest, so I'll just make sure I pull that out. And just expand, elongate that right at the tip there. So this is prep work here. I just get the colors all ready to go. And we may have to pull a little bit more than that. And then we've got the blue here, and we just need to pull some more purple. So let's get this purple nice and warm here. We'll attach it to the puntey, and then maybe what we can do is just pull it while it's thin. I'll see if I can do that. As it's still thin like that, we'll see if we can heat up this thick part here and match it up with that thin part. So I'll keep the heat away from the thin part at first. We'll just gather a lot of this over here, heat it up, get all that heat gathered up over here, slowly start to bring it towards that thinner spot there, and let's see if we can pull it out to that same thinness. That's pretty good. That's all about that same thickness, same thinness there. All right. Let me make sure I got the chat on here. So hello, thank you for tuning in and watching. All right, now we can get started with this glass here. Let me let me pull up a YouTube channel here that well, which one are we going to use here? I got to pull up this video, that way I can read any chats that come up if there are any. Okay, this one's perfect right here. All right, so now we're going to heat up this clear rod. It's a 16 millimeter rod, and got the video up right now, so let me mute it real quick. You might hear some double speak. There we go. I'll mute it. And hello to everyone tuning in and watching. I don't know if my clock on my computer here is the right time, but we had a fall back time change today, or last night. So we've all fallen back an hour, except those in Arizona. I guess they don't. Oops. Got a notification. Sorry about that. I always forget to press the do not disturb. Alright, I really need to look at this balloon here now and really see, how did I do this? I know the black is always what goes on last. I think what I do is the long one. Okay. So I'm pretty sure I start with the purple and then draw the blue on top of that. So the blue really stands out. On the card, it looks like it really stands out. So this is for a friend of mine who ordered these balloons, ordered another 4 of them. During Balloon Fiesta, I made one for him. He was really happy with that, and then decided he wanted to get a few more, and then decided to get even more than just a few. And so I have now made, this will be 5 of them for him, but 6 total for me, because I made that mistake on the last one, or I don't know which one it was. It might have been the first one of that batch. And I made the mistake and picked up the wrong color, apparently. So let's make sure that doesn't happen here, and I don't get distracted while I'm streaming live. So I think that's what happens. I just was talking away and didn't pay attention. I don't know. I don't know what happened. All right, so basically we start out by gathering the 16 millimeter, basically forming like a marble rounded end on the tip there. Then we're going to draw the purple. And this is what starts the pattern here, and what maps it all out. So I just got to start with one line, bring it down the side, try to make sure I'm going completely vertical, drop it down, boom, there's the first line set. And then from there I go to the opposite side over here, and then I draw the line on that side. And then we'll go in between those two on the opposite sides of each other. So then there'll be 4 laid down. And then, so we've got the 4 lines laid out right there. And then we'll put 2 lines in between where those clear spaces are, like that right there. So we'll get 2 lines in on each one. So I just got to eyeball the spacing on this and try to make sure that when I put that first line in, that I have enough space, an equal amount of space, to put that other one in. And I always want to make sure that I flatten my ends down so they don't ball up. It makes it a little easier when I'm melting things. And I'm talking about the very end, so when I flame cut it right here, there's a little bit of the glass that kind of wants to ball up. So if I get it nice and molten, I can flatten it up against my torch there. I don't know if you see that motion that I'm doing. Let me just bring that up right against the body of the torch there, and it helps to flatten it out. Alright, I'm going to lay down a couple more of these lines here. Trying to keep an equal amount of space in between each one. Alright, we got the last 2 lines here. Oh, the color got away from me, pulled away a little bit. Just come up to the top and make sure that it flows nicely there. Alright, so now we got the purple laid down. So now I got to go through and I have to draw the pattern of the blue color on top of that purple. And the blue is all on one side, which the blue is on the left side of each panel. So I have to draw that blue right on the side of the purple there, and then create the pattern. So we're going to try to find those very first original 2 lines here by looking down at it and seeing, okay, where are the ones that I first lay down that creates that first cross pattern. All right, I think it was that one there. That thicker line right in the front, right there. Okay. So then we start with drawing one whole blue line down the left side of this purple and basically covering it up on the edge, but not the whole thing, because you want that purple to be showing halfway through on the other side. And then we go to the opposite side over here. Boom. And that line. We do the same thing, drawing that blue on just the left side of the purple. And then we just go in and here, let me heat up the whole thing. Let's make sure that we don't get any cracking or anything. So pre-warm the whole, basically the whole canvas here, and get it all nice and warm. We can see where the extra colors are there lined up. So then we go to the next one. And so this one here, I think was longer and then shorter. Let me take a look real quick. Yeah. All right, so then we start on one side, almost 3/4 of the way up, and we go long on one side, short on the top side, connect that color in between, make sure we mash that color down. Then this one is a little bit shorter, so you go on the bottom end and then longer on the top on the right side. So I got to do one, got to put a line of color on one side of that purple and then a line of color on the opposite side, and it creates this cool pattern effect. Alright, so I just lay those down real quick. And then this is the last one on this side. And I don't know what happened and how I did that, where I got the wrong color. But usually I'm holding the color, so at some point I must have put it down. And just drew it wrong. Just put the wrong color down. It's not like I can erase it. So that's the problem. Okay, and we'll just go around on the other side here. Same color, same pattern. One on one side, one on the other. Go tall, short, tall. And once I make a few of these, then I start to get a little bit better at the patterning and each step, and then I'm like, oh, okay. And you just figure it out a little bit easier. But some of them I really have to like sit there and think, okay, what color am I starting with? How am I gonna lay, like what's the first color that I'm laying down, and then what goes next after that? And I really do gotta like plan it out and think it out, like how's this really gonna work here? Is that it? Okay. We got all the lines down and wrapped around there. I'm wondering if I should go back in with some purple and just add a little bit more detail on the purple. I don't know. Let me see. Try to pull a nice thin stringer here. There we go. We can do some good detail work with that. All right, so let's see, that's the purple going all the way down on that side. Okay. That works out pretty good. I added some more purple on the bottom there. Let me go around and I'll do the top. We'll pull some more stringer here. I love doing that, using the piece that I'm working on and then just using the stringer like that. Okay, let's see if I can add some more color here. I think that's where I added the color there. Boom, boom. All right, and then let's get this side here. Sorry, I go quiet when I start drawing these detailed lines here. Okay. All right, and then we can just do all of the lines on top now. This side. And go all the way down this. I think maybe I'll just leave it like that. But just do the bottom more enhanced and leave the top as is. Or else I'm gonna jumble up the lines a little bit too much in there. I don't want to distort the pattern too much. I'm like, but can I? Should I? I mean, it looks pretty good already. Okay, and then some of these lines here, I want to extend them some. So I'll go in and I'll start heating up these little spots here, and then I'll just use my pliers here, or these long tweezers, I guess. I used to work with pliers when I first started, and some needle nose pliers, and then I got these and been using these ever since. But the very first few years when I was blowing glass, back in '95, I was probably using a pair of jeweler's tweezers. And the flat nose needle nose pliers, not the pointy ones. All right, I think we got those colors all nice and even there. All even, Steven. Cool. And I'll flatten up all these colors here, make sure that they're matching up nicely. Using the paddle here. Okay, so now we got all those colors all laid out, as you can see. We'll just do a quick warm up right here. And then you can see all the lines and all the spacing in between. And all the spacing there, we now have to go in and draw the black lines through there. And that's what creates that last little detail. So as you can see all that, the clear spacing in between there, we're going to now draw a thin line right in between of the Eclipse or the Onyx. And I forget which one I purchased specifically. Now I'm wondering if I should have made this a little bit thinner. I might go in here and thin out this line of black here. Oops. So then I'll just try to pull it out a little bit thinner so I can just fit it in between those lines a little bit better. Kind of give a nice little rock back and forth and pull. And it's probably not the straightest pull, but I'll make it work. I'll just bend it back right here. Straighten it out. There we go. Okay, so now we got that pulled out a lot thinner. As you can see, it was thicker this way and then it's a lot thinner that way now. So we'll get this line in between those lines there. And it doesn't really matter where we begin, we just got to make sure that we cover every single one up. And you want to go in between the colors and not on the colors. You don't want to mess up that pattern that was just drawn. And that's the hard part, is really having a good, having your line work down. This sort of glass that I do is extremely advanced. I don't know anyone else in the world who actually replicates hot air balloons the way I do. So it's really cool to be able to say that I may be the only glass artist in the world who does this. I have spoke with other glass artists who have made hot air balloons, and they've had requests to replicate them for, you know, a balloon team here and there. But to actually offer this as an actual product, you know, it's the one thing that I believe I'm the only artist who's doing this right now. And it's because I get to meet all the pilots personally and their crew members. And then I speak with them, and they basically ask me personally if I can make the balloons for them. So it's a huge custom request there, or unique and a personal custom request. And that's the really cool part about them all, is a lot of these are just special requests from individuals who actually work with the balloon, and they just want to have a replica of their balloon made. And these are one of a kind, as you can see. No two are ever made in molds. They're never the same. They might look identical, but they each have their own line work and their own uniqueness, and each one is made one at a time. So basically each piece is a one-of-a-kind piece. No two are alike. They just might look similar. Oh, we're back to the thick part of the glass here. Let me get back to some thin. We only got a few more lines to do. Just attach it, pull it, and get like 2 or 3 more lines with that there. That last line went down pretty thick. I'm like, uh-oh, I hope I didn't cover the pattern there. And it looks like we are all the way around. Cool. So now all the black is laid down. I'm going to bring all the colors from the top and pull them all up into one point. And that way all the patterns all connect together. All at one conjoining spot here at the top. Looks like I'm going to need to get me some new tweezers. They're starting to stick to the glass. They've been getting too hot lately. Alright, so then we get that whole gradual pull, bring them all up together to the center without twisting or spinning it. Just keep it nice and straight. And then we'll just do a simple flame cut just like that. We'll round it down. I'll pull a little bit more off actually, just to clean it up some. So now we brought that tip to a point like that there. We're gonna round it down. We're gonna add a little bit of the same blue, either that peacock or the agua azul, and we'll put that on top as the parachute, the chute to the top of the balloon where the crown of the balloon is and everything. We'll utilize the paddle here to just kind of round it out some, just like that. I give it that wobble, so I'm not like completely flattening it in spots. I'm trying to allow it to stay rounded. Gonna do that one more time here. Cool, and all those colors should be pulled up nicely into one point, coming up right to the top there. And then we'll add the color, that blue on the tip, on the top. Well, I guess it's the tip of this rod here, on the top of the rod. And I don't really know what the crown or the chute, what color it is or what it looks like. They could have a smiley face on top or something like that. I really don't know. So I'm just doing the blue on the bottom, and then we'll do the black on the bottom for the skirt or the scoop. I just want to add just enough so it doesn't spread out too much. And we'll keep this all nice and molten so that way the tip doesn't crack or pop when I put it back in the flame again. So we get that all back to molten. That way it's all nice and smooth once again. All right. So then that's all nice and smooth once again. All ready for the next time. And we'll round up the blue on top here. And then after this, we'll get it all melted down, nice and smooth. We'll bring it into its balloon shape. And then we'll add the clear glass on the outside to create the gills or the ripples of the balloon, like this here. I'm debating if I want to go out right now and check out that event. I was going to set up at an event today. I think it was like from 4 to 9 or something. I got down there about 2 or 3 o'clock, and they were all setting up and getting ready for the day. I did want to check it out to see how the crowds were and to see if it would have been worth it to set up or not. But I'm not sure. I'm enjoying being at home and having my day off. And I get to work on some glass now. Even on my day off, I'm still always just working, making things and doing things. All right, let's get this all nice and melted down now. So we're gonna work on getting rid of all these ripples and everything and melt it down nice and smooth. And we'll work on the top, get the top nice and rounded. We got that blue on there now. So we'll make sure that that's all nice and rounded here. There we go. Some nice round top there. No point anymore. And then we can round the whole rest out and make the whole rest all ballooned out. It's too bad I have to remake this one again, but at the same time, it's good practice. And I get to keep one now. I have my own souvenir now, since I messed up the one by forgetting to put, or not forgetting, I somehow just messed up. Put the color down in the middle of working on it, and somehow I didn't lay down the blue where it was supposed to go. And you can't just erase it. You can't go back. I can't take off the clear ripples and rework it all. You know, I just got to remake it. So it's fine. If I wanted to, I could sell that one. That's a kind of a mistake. You know, it's got a flaw. A lot of times those things that have flaws, like minted coins and stuff, those are the ones that become most valuable, right? Oh, I hear them watching a movie now. It's a movie night and school night. We've had a long Halloween season here for the week. Lots of trunk-or-treating prior to trick-or-treating on Halloween. It was really fun. We had a really good time. The first year that I did not hang out with my daughter for Halloween, I think every year we at least like kind of try to split it up a little bit, or see each other on the day of or something like that, or she would at least come and do some trunk-or-treating events. But this year she's already old enough, too old, and now she's going trick-or-treating with her friends. So she's too cool for me nowadays. I'm too old for her. Just kidding. Nah, she just wanted to go and spend time with her friends, and her friends' parents, they offered to drive them around and take them to a really cool spot for trick-or-treating. They went to like a really, I guess, fancy, higher-end neighborhood, and they made out like bandits, I guess. They had a good trick-or-treating holiday. I hope you guys had a good Halloween. We got to go to a few different haunted houses and check out some things. I did film the Huskinson's house, which was amazing. I could not believe all the work they put into it. And I was wondering if they're actually set up today. I need to check on Facebook and see if Mr. Huskinson himself contacted me back and let me know, hey, we're still open one last night for the weekend. I don't know if they kept it open Saturday and Sunday today. So I think it was only until Halloween. And after that, it was done. November 1st, I think they started tearing it down. They probably started tearing it down so they would have the weekend to get it done. Because I'm sure he's got to get back to work, right? Do what he normally does throughout the week. So melting in glass usually takes the longest when it comes to melting and working lamp work and borosilicate. I'm going to give it its balloon shaping now. Round up the top some. You can see it's all coming together a little bit. And then we'll pull the bottom, we'll taper the bottom so it doesn't have to be like completely fat on top. I forget what movie they're watching. I think it was The Meaning of Life or something. I think it's a Dia de los Muertos type of movie. So once again, thank you guys for coming along earlier today on that drive down Route 66 in Albuquerque, New Mexico, also known as Central Avenue, and scouting out various locations, potential locations, and then ending down at the Curious Toast, where I believe that's where we're going to be setting up our new market for Sundays. downtown Albuquerque, no longer in Nob Hill. So we may have a new downtown market on Sunday, a new Sunday downtown market. Which is interesting because they have the big market on Saturdays with the growers market, and it might make even better sense to set up on a Saturday and switch out Sundays to Saturday. But we'll have to see. We got to talk with everyone and find out what works out best, because some people, Sundays is the only day that they have off and the only day that they can vend. And so I want to make sure that we can get all of our vendors all back together the way we were. And if Sundays is the only day that works, then that's what we'll focus on. But it looked like it had some good potential downtown. Albuquerque, New Mexico. New Mexico in general is like known for lowriders. And Sundays is the cruising day where everyone goes down Route 66 and cruises. So all of those posters that you see with a bunch of lowriders, and you see like the Road Runners and the Zia Sun and the Route 66 posters, and then they got the lowriders on there. That's all real and true. That's exactly what our culture is here. And Española and even Santa Fe is known for their lowriders as well. And Las Cruces and a bunch of other places, I'm sure, as well, right? But here in Burque and Albuquerque, we're really known for the lowriders here in Española. And Los Lunas and Berlin. There's all kinds of spots. We're known for lowriders here. Alright, we finally got this all nice and rounded. Beautiful. So now we have the balloon shape, and then remember the bottom is going to get tapered, so it's going to be even more ballooned out once we taper that. And we still got to put the ripples on it. So we'll grab one of these, I don't know, I think it's 5 or 7 millimeter rod here. And we'll look at our patterning here, and we'll try to find that very first line that goes down solid. I think it's that one right there. And then opposite side right there. Alright, cool. So then I try to draw these on those very first two lines that we started with the purple and the blue. And then have the black as the part that's sunk in between these ripples here. So that's at least what I attempt to do, and I try to do here. So like I said, every one of these is thought out, the whole process. But then once I make like a couple of them, then that process just all comes together pretty easily. And then I can just replicate them again and again. Once I know, like, oh, I did it like this, and then I know, okay, this is the pattern of it, and I can do those balloons over and over. Alright, so now we have the 4 cross sections, the 4 lines. So then we got to add the 2 in between. And the trick is to draw them close, but don't draw them next to each other on top of each other, or all the glass will all become like one piece, and you won't have those defined ripples in between anymore. So you got to really, really be careful when you lay it down, how you lay it down. So you just got to have good line work. Like I said, this is advanced glass blowing right here. It takes a lot of skill to be able to do these lines in between one another without messing them up or anything. Conjoining them, laying them down on top of each other, whatever. Making sure you have that spacing in between. All right, only a few more lines here. 2 more. All right, we're pretty much there. Last line. Ooh, why did that have to happen? On the last line, I messed up. Okay, but it didn't mess up the design or nothing. It just accidentally melted that glass away a little sooner than I wanted to. Okay, so now we melt these ripples down a little bit more. These take a good, 45 minutes to an hour when I'm replicating them. When I'm doing just simple basic ones with 2 colors, then those are like 15 minutes. So that's why my pricing of these is starting at 40 bucks and up. But then, a lot of times I get real generous and I start offering even better deals. But, then those who can afford it, they always hook me up with really nice, generous tips, and it's always nice. All right, we're pretty much right under the hour right here, 56 minutes in. We'll melt this all down. We make sure we get all this all nice and melted. We'll figure out where we want to bring the taper line down, where all the colors are right here. So I'll just kind of mark that out with the edge of my paddle here. So make a nice little indentation or a groove, and I can see where I'm going to bring it down at right there. And we'll taper all that down. We'll add the loop on top, or the bail, which is just another piece of the same glass that we were just using for the ripples. And then you just kind of find out, like, where do you think the front will be, the back, and then you just lay it down, and once you join that glass, that's where it's going to be. And then just let it set up, give it a nice little pull. Now that's all conjoined. Now we're going to bend that backward. Bring it back this way. Melt it, push it down onto the balloon. Pull it away to give it a flame cut. You make sure that's all nice and straight. Look at it on both angles. Look at it from this side. Look at it from this side. Make sure it's nice and straight. Make sure the hole isn't closing up. Make sure that it's all nice and connected where you want it to be. Melt it down nicely. Connect those 2 pieces of glass really well. Make sure that hole doesn't close up on you. Go back around, hit up the whole entire thing to melt it all down and make it nice and flowing. Making sure that it's all nice and straight. Push it over if need be, which is what I'm doing right now. I'll have to remelt that a little bit here. Let me just work on this loop just a little bit more. Making sure it's nice and rounded, not too thick in some spots, not thinned out in others. Trying to keep it nice and flowing. But you don't want it to be like sticking up like really large, because then it'll be protruding off that balloon a little too much. So you want to keep it low, but you want to make sure the hole is big enough in case they want to put it on a different chain or something else, a different necklace. So there's the loop right on top, or the bell. It's all nicely attached, very strong. And then we'll attach it to our punchy here. We'll clean up the punchy. We'll make sure that the tip of the punchy has no color or nothing on it, so it's all nice clean glass on the tip. So every time that we're working the punchy, every once in a while we'll pull off a little bit of it, and it becomes a little bit shorter and a little bit shorter, and eventually we'll have to use a new punchy. Alright, so now we'll attach it to the loop on top here, the bell. That way it's nice and centered right on top. You want to make sure to just barely attach it, because you're going to snap it off, and you don't want to snap the part of the bell off with it. And then we'll go into that spot that we marked for the taper. And we'll go up onto the balloon side of it, not the clear rod side of it. And that way we can start to pull all the color down and slowly taper it all down to a nice fine point and bring the balloon into its final shaping here. So even though the loop's on it and everything, we're still doing a little bit of shaping at this point. Usually on any of my other pendants, once I put the loop on, it's pretty much done. That's usually the last piece. Ow, that was right in my ear. Kabing. Alright, so we'll get up into the balloon side of it a little bit more. Slowly pulling it, just slightly, not too much. Just kind of gradually getting it into that taper on the bottom. Making sure that we're pulling a lot of the side of the balloon with it. But it's got to be in a gradual way, or else it'll be like really elongated and look like a flattened out balloon. You don't want to do that. Okay, it's looking good. We're going to start to really taper it down now, quite a bit here. And then at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to cut it off of the clear glass rod here. We're going to make sure that none of the color is attached to it, and that way this is ready to go for the next hot air balloon or whatever else we're making. We'll melt down some of the little extra bumps and things here and there. We'll get it nice and smooth again. That's pretty good. There's a few little bumps on there, but that's pretty good. Alright, let me just set that to the side. Now this here, it's pretty much tapered, but we're going to taper it a little bit more. Pulling all of the clear glass with some of that color, bringing it down to a point. Then we'll add a little bit of black, or the onyx, or the, I don't know if it was onyx or twilight. Was it twilight? Is that what I said? onyx, or maybe it's twilight. I don't remember. But whatever the black colored glass that I'm using, we'll put that on the bottom here. So I now have to pull all this off. This becomes all just excess scrap glass here. And I have to pull it to where all of the color then gets pulled to the point, so we don't have any of that clear glass showing. So I'll make sure to really grab at the color here and start to really pull it down and get it to collect with the rest of it here. And then making sure that I'm pulling it in the center. So that way it doesn't look like it's all crooked and pulled to one side more than the other. And we'll get that last little bit of a pull. And we'll add that black color dot on the bottom to represent the scoop or the skirt of the hot air balloon. I'm just going to pull it a little bit more. Add the black, the onyx, or the, what was it? Midnight? Not midnight. Twilight? It's onyx or something. Melt this down just a little bit. Put the black right on the bottom here. And this little bit of a detail really then brings that hot air balloon characteristic out. All right, now we got the scoop or the skirt on there, which is basically just a black dot of color. We'll melt it up into the that bottom portion of the balloon. That way it looks like it's all nicely tapered down. And then at the bottom of this, we're going to add a little bit of color, the same rod that we were using for the ripples. And this is going to allow the balloon to have a little bit of empty space away from the basket or the gondola. So it looks like the basket's hanging away from the balloon like a real hot air balloon looks. We just add a little bit of clear glass right on the bottom there. Not too much, not too thick. You want to keep it nice and thin. And then under there, you add your caramel or your butterscotch. And that becomes the basket to your hot air balloon. And this is done. The kiln is on. We'll drop this in the kiln as soon as we're done here. Just attach the basket. And then you don't want to add, like, leave a big dot. A lot of people, a lot of artists and people who make hot air balloon items and gifts and things, they tend to make a really large basket on the balloon. Now I understand this needs something to stand up on, so you can't really make it realistic. It would be like standing on a pinpoint in order to make it look realistic, right? So I do my best to make the basket really small in comparison, and then have that little bit of a clear spacing in between from the basket and the balloon to make it look like, you know, there's that little bit of spacing detail. All right, now it's done. Heat up our tweezers here so we can grab a hold of this elongated portion of it, snap it off the punchy there, clean up the punchy mark on top of your loop, making sure you don't melt it down too much and mess up the shaping of it. Just barely let that flame touch the edge, rounding it out just ever so gently. And that is a finished hot air balloon, guys. That's done. We're going to drop that in the kiln now and call it a day. All right. Oh, where? Uh-oh. I moved those. Oh, there they are. Okay. I had to find my pot holder so I could grab the kiln. The handle gets really hot. Okay. So that's it, guys. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys watching me make another one of the MYAIR FLYAIR hot air balloons here. And it's been a lot of fun to be able to make these for my friend. And he'll be picking all 4 of them up tomorrow. They're already paid for. He just basically sent me I sent him an invoice through Square, and he was able to send me payment. And he's local, so we just meet up. But I can ship anywhere, basically around the world. If you pay for shipping, I can get these balloons to you. So let me know if you'd like to place an order. Comment below, and we'll go from there. Once again, this is the Glassman's World. I'm Dan the Glassman. I appreciate you all for tuning in and watching, and also tuning in earlier on the scouting location video and looking for a new spot for the market. Hopefully we get set up somewhere, because today was such a beautiful day to be out. I really should have been out somewhere, vending somewhere, but it's okay. At least I was able to finish up this order and hang out with you guys. All right, you guys have a beautiful day or evening. It's fall back on the daylight savings time, so if you haven't set your clocks yet, make sure you do before Monday hits tomorrow, or you'll be showing up really early or late for work. I don't know how that works, but either way, make sure you set your clocks back if you haven't yet. And I'll talk to you guys soon. I'll be making balloons year round, so keep those orders coming. I have a ton of balloons that I would love to make. These are the a lot of these are the balloons that flew with us during well, not all of these. Now I'm like, nope, not those. Some of these, I think they're in a different pile, were balloons that flew with us for Dawn Patrol. And some of these are just balloons that I want to try to make as well. So there's a lot of balloons to make, guys. And we'll be making them year round now. So keep those orders coming. And I'll talk to you guys soon. You guys have a good evening. Love and blessings. I'm out.